Yeah, Pam, I just talked to you a little bit tonight. We seem to have gotten into a conversation, and because there's so many horrid things happening on our planet, it's like we're surrounded by the threat of our freedoms being taken away, uh, compulsory vaccinations, the riots, food shortages, lockdowns, coronavirus, corruption, economies breaking apart. It's like everywhere around us is falling apart, which is this Capricorn energy, Pluto, Saturn again. And what's your solution for it? Yeah, where do we go with this?
Thank you. And it isn't, I can't entirely take the credit for this because, you and I have been on this road for a long time and listened to many great teachers, many great leaders, many great mentors. So we develop our own golden thread, don't we? We assimilate all of this stuff and we come to a point of view. And for me, and you're absolutely right, this is the Saturn Pluto in Capricorn collapse of the old order, the disintegration of everything we've known as structure, foundation, certainty in our world, the governments, the leaders, and the big organizations, and we're not going to name them, but everybody knows what they are. They're very big corporations and organizations that have held power over the citizens. All of that is collapsing and crumbling, and we should expect that as astrologers because that's the Saturn Pluto in Capricorn. So it's like you're putting in a new kitchen. I used this analogy the other day in an interview. You're putting in a new kitchen. You can't put the new kitchen in on top of the old one. You've got to completely smash up the old one. Mess, dust, awful. Drag it all out before you can put the new. And we are in that process of deconstruction and disintegration. And it's incredibly uncomfortable. Incredibly uncomfortable because we're just kind of almost in the birth canal. We haven't quite fully birthed the new yet, and some of us can kind of feel it and see it, but it hasn't happened. So everything is, the foundations are free floating. What's true, what's not, who can you trust, what can you believe, all of that stuff. We're kind of in a great state of flux, and it's very hard because everything we've known in all of our lifetimes, the people who are alive now, have had certainty to some degree, and that's now gone. That's now gone, and the people we trusted may turn out to be the bad guys, and the bad guys may turn out to be the good guys. It's going to be just twist. And so there smacks on your worldview, smacks on your consciousness, what you thought was your worldview. If you accept this new information, all of a sudden you've got to turn 180 degrees the other way. And by the way, in a week or so, you might swivel again to another worldview. So all of that outer stuff is very buffeting. And I was saying on this interview just the other day, if we kind of see that as our reality, and absolutely on the 3D level it is, we're just the rubber hitting the road, and that churns us up internally hugely. We just get kind of mishmashed, shredded and minced internally. So because there are so many problems in so many places across the world, and you've listed some of them, and they go on and on, we can't solve, I think Einstein said this, we can't solve the problems at the same level at which they were created.
Yes.
So we have to me, there are multiple timelines. At any moment, there are multiple timelines. And I profoundly believe that we are switching our timelines every couple of seconds, depending on our frequency. Are we slightly more up, slightly more down, had a good conversation, slightly more down? We're constantly self-selecting those multiple timelines, depending on our frequency. So to me, the solution, and that's why I endlessly bang on about this in my videos and newsletters, is it's a frequency solution. And this is partly, and I have to credit Dr. Joe Dispenza with this, because he would often talk about the great leaders of the world. You know, if you think of people like, I'm repeating myself, I know, but this is for the record, you know, like Martin Luther King or Gandhi. They were in very testing circumstances. Martin Luther King with a background in slavery and all the racism, segregation, and also Gandhi with a so-called Great British Empire. They had very, very challenging 3D situations, but what they were able to do was to hold a vision that was greater than themselves, hold a vision that was greater than themselves, and keep that vision, step into that vision as if it was real and live today.
Yes.
And
that's Neptune in Pisces, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Keep the vision of the possibility of world unity and world peace.
Totally, absolutely, totally. And so we have to come together, and we have to aim for that highest timeline we can reach with our frequency and live that 24/7.
Yes.
And that isn't to say that we should be all light and fluffy and la-di-da and completely unaware of what's going on in the world, because I believe strongly we have to be aware of the plan that is unfolding. I think we have to be aware, but then we have to say, okay, I get that, I integrate it, but despite that, I can still keep my frequency high, despite that.
Yes.
So it's keeping that. So, you know, I was just saying to Braca that if I get a video somebody sent and it's very negative, I'll just stop watching it. Not because I am already aware of a plan that isn't helpful for us. So I was saying today in a Facebook post that what I'm seeing for the Aquarian age, and it keeps coming to me, if you think of an ant colony or a beehive, although each of those tiny creatures goes out every day, and I think bees go to their favorite flowers to get the pollen, so they have their own kind of individuality, as it were, day to day, but the overriding purpose is the colony, is the beehive, is the collective. That is their absolutely dominating vision, to protect the whole, to protect the community. And because my ex-husband was a beekeeper, I know a fair amount about bees. And for instance, if an invader, like a mouse, came into the beehive, they would all congregate to sting it, and they would mummify it with wax. And if they were able to, they'd drag it out of the nest, out of the beehive. But even if they couldn't, it was now insulated from infecting the hive. And of course the hive is made perfectly, it's sealed with all of these hexagonals that the bees make, and it's got a very structured society with the queens and the workers and da-da-da-da. But the overriding principle for every living bee is the community and the collective. And so for me, that's how we've got to think in this age of Aquarius. That's kept coming to me. So as long as we fight and argue and you're wrong and, you know, racism and religion and the whole boiling pot, we are lowering our frequency down to one of the lowest levels, and we are postponing something that could be a beautiful future for us and every single one of us.
Yes.
So that's the bigger purpose. That's the bigger purpose. And until we get that, we're going to keep on floundering around in this, you know, 3D mess. But the frequency is the exit point. The frequency is I can't think of another solution, but it's a good solution.
Yes, it's a beautiful solution, and we together can change one another's frequencies.
Yeah.
I mean, I came on the phone to you tonight on Zoom feeling very down because there were dogs who were crying all night, and I was crying in my heart. I was getting, you know, taken up with that frequency.
Yeah.
It's not to say that it doesn't exist, and it's not to say that I can't do something maybe, but I mustn't get lost in that negativity. And seeing that it is a frequency thing, and unless I raise my frequency, I can't help anybody. I'm no use to man nor beast.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you know, how I feel. And in situations like that, because, you know, I've got a local situation where I've been very upset about a dog, because we share the big animal lover thing. I kept seeing I kept seeing that dog in loving circumstances. Every day I would envisage that dog in loving circumstance. Now, I can't have a dog. I'm too busy doing everything else, but I kept seeing it in loving circumstances. And actually, partly by accident, his circumstances have improved dramatically at the moment. So, you know, and with people, see them as at their strongest, see them at their best. Don't come down to their weakness. Don't come down to their vulnerability. See them at their absolute shining. And that is the way you can help people best. You know, you're strong to cope with it, you know, whatever it is. So I don't know, I'm sort of ranting now, but
this is what we need this, I think, to show that we're vulnerable in this as well. And
yeah, we're human.
We'd like to share together with everybody. So please carry on, Pam.
Absolutely. I mean, we're human. We both have very big.
You've got Mars in Aries. You need to go.
Well, yeah, the warrior. But you know, we both share this. We're both sensitive people with very big hearts. We love animals, and it's super distressing. You know, your instinct with a crying dog goes to, you can't help it because we're human. You can't help it. But I think part of the process of 2020, and we're entering a very intense phase in this second half, as you know, Braca, is energy mastery, frequency mastery.
Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries. How are we going to deal with anger?
Yes.
How are we going to deal with issues of anger?
And be a warrior for peace.
Is an intelligent emotion. We need anger, because without anger, it doesn't push us to take action to make a change about an unmet need.
Yeah, and I think it's waking people up. I think these protests, you know, we've got an exact square between Eris in Aries, the female awakener, goddess of chaos and discord, exactly square Pluto today. That continues till October 2021. So people are taking to the streets, huge in the US, has been in Hong Kong. So people are waking up and saying, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Now we can take action in that way. I'd strongly encourage people to be peaceful, because anger begets anger. Hate begets hate. Separation, you know, division begets.
Exactly.
So be peaceful and be a warrior for peace. But I equally believe, because there's so much evidence now, look at Lynn McTaggart's book, The Intention Experiment, how she lowered violence across the Middle East with meditation. I equally believe that to work energetically by meditation is as powerful as action on the streets, and possibly even more powerful.
Yes, well, there's been studies that have been done with their exercise, haven't they? Where people imagined that they were, or for example, learning the piano. And the people who hadn't been playing the piano and had been imagining it were able to play even better than those who were actually at the piano.
Absolutely. We are so much more powerful than we know. So you can take a little Buddhist monk high up in the Himalayas. His powers are immense to focus and change things. Immense. So we have to up our game spiritually. We have to become masters of our energy and masters of our frequency. If we are going to change the world for the better, for each of us individually and collectively, we have to get on that track of, okay, I'm seeing this, I'm integrating it, but it's not okay. So I'm going to shift to a higher level to operate at that higher timeline. And that's what I'm going to shift myself and everybody else who's interested in
listening here. I hope so, because we're all human. Yeah, I have my moments where I'm hit in the stomach and it's like, horrible.
And I have them too.
Shock, you know, another person killed by the police or whatever it is. It's like, oh, I go into that gut reaction, and I think it's important to have that emotion and not suppress it, because otherwise everything comes out in a blur. But then, as you say, acknowledging it and then keeping pushing for that higher frequency. And you know when you are hemorrhaging energy.
Yeah, you do.
And your energy is going down and down and down and down and down. And Saturn in Aquarius, we have to find structured ways to maintain the highest frequency for all of us.
Absolutely, totally. And coming together, we can all support each other. So, you know, better than I do, bracket that. Aquarius energy is collective, community, collaboration. Think of the ant colony, think of the beehive, because that's the image I have in a natural, organic way. And no, thank you very much to anything artificial that will help us along with that. This is our evolutionary jump, which the ancient prophecies from Hopi and Mayan prophecies, they talked about this time. This the information is already within the acorn to become the oak tree. We already have our timer within us for this evolutionary jump, but we have to pass the test.
Yes, and we can, and together we can do it.
Absolutely.
It has to be together now. There's just no such thing as, oh, I'm better than you, you're more special, you're this, you're the other. It's not going to work.
Absolutely. And it's, you know, Aquarius, as you well know, is the sign of equality, of brotherhood, of sisterhood, of humanitarianism. And, you know, this whole race thing is crazy because we have so many past lives. I know I've been a man. I'm sure I've been a black person. I'm sure I've been a Chinese. I'm sure I've been a tree. I'm sure I've been a rock. I know I've been a galactic. We have been everything. So it's just crackers.
Yes.
You know, we're all divine sparks with a part to play here to build the most magnificent beehive that we can possibly build.
Yes. And to buzz around joyfully from flower to flower. Yes, and really uplift, because the bees are flying, aren't they? They're flying.
Yeah, and I have so many in my garden. And it's interesting, I don't know how you felt, Baraka, but before we really got into this year, I was thinking, how's that Aquarius energy going to work? Because particularly the Pluto and Leo generation have been highly individualistic. You know, it's all about me. I own my house. I own my car. I'm proud of my job. I'm a yuppie. I have consumerism material. All of that awful, awful Capricorn stuff. Yes. And I thought, how's this going to manifest? Because Aquarius is about the group mind, not the individual. I thought, how is that going to? So we will always be unique sparks in this universe, always, all through our soul lifetimes. But the group mind, the collective, the community becomes the overriding principle.
Yes. And we're working towards that. And by the end of this year, I mean, these next months are a real test, I feel,
huge,
for us to not be victims, not go into this victim mode. Yes, oh, poor me, and oh, this is all happening to me, and, you know, nobody's helping me, I'm all alone, I've got no help, you know, all those kinds of things. We've got to somehow get away from that archetype of being, you know, poor things.
Because it's giving all of our power away. As soon as you go into victim, you're giving your power away to whoever.
Stick to doing this, we're going to have vaccinations, oh my goodness, I won't be able to do this and that and the other. Instead of seeing, hey, you know, I'm alive for a reason. My heart is beating for a reason. I'm alive at this time for an important reason. And I'm to hell if I'm just going to be locked away and not be able to do something no matter what happens. Yeah. I mean,
and that's a really good point. Our souls apparently chose this lifetime for us to be here. I'll have to look more closely at the choice list next time around. But anyway, we all chose to be here at this time. So if we chose it, it has purpose. It's about our mastery. And this is probably one of the biggest lifetime, I feel it's one of the biggest lifetimes for us to really prove that mastery.
Yes.
Because
and they're coming together, because, you know, we've got Saturn and Jupiter coming together at the 0 degrees of Aquarius.
Yeah, whole new worldview for 200 years in air signs. So, but we have support if we come together. We have each other. We're digitally connected. We're spiritually connected. I think telepathy will become much stronger, not only with other human beings. You already channel Pleiadians beautifully, Braca, but also with other galactic beings. They are coming closer because they want to help us. And more, if we can turn our vision to the galaxy rather than our own small, difficult circumstances.
Not to live in the weeds.
Yeah. Turn your vision outwards. We are galactic citizens. So that starts to feel very inspiring, and that we have this otherworldly help that's coming in. And from what I understand, that hasn't always been the case. The Earth has been offline for some time, but we're not now back online. And certainly we're receiving this massive amount of photonic energy, cosmic galactic energy. That's upgrading our DNA, making it more crystalline, pouring in light, which is changing us physically. The energy lines on the Earth are strengthening and deepening. Look at Rory Duff's work with that. That in turn is changing us physically. So there's a whole circuit here.
Spiral of energy that's taking us upwards and out of this
crud.
Yeah, crud. Okay, good word.
So I think we've got to catch that wave, because if we don't catch that wave, we're going to be bumping along, rubber hitting the road with terrible news every day. Terrible news, deaths, riots, violence. It's unimaginable. And
yes.
I was, as you know, in Portugal for a very rainy week last December. And because it rained every day, there was where we were staying, there's a town called Lagos. I haven't mentioned this to you actually, Braca, but there was a slavery museum there. And I felt it was important to go in there. And the slave square was still outside. It was right on the sea where the boats came in. And I went into that museum, which was very graphic, and I just wept. I wept and wept because I couldn't conceive that human beings could do that to each other. It was unimaginable. It was, I won't go into the detail because it'll upset us both again, but it was just unimaginable. And we can never let that brutality and inequality happen again, ever, 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 ever in our lifetimes, ever. It really had a very strong effect. I just found it overpoweringly, and I had a nightmare. It just stuck with me. I couldn't get over it. So we are creating in every moment. We are creating this new earth, this new vision of community and abundance and food for all, enough for all in every moment. It's only because we've got this elitism and this inequality that there isn't enough for everybody.
A universal wage. And also, can we also put out now, because I think this may be a time now, because Aquarius is about community, building community and support. And I've said it already on my videos, but I think you feel likewise. You know, Pam and I very much are looking for community. You know, we are ready. So if you have a community, or you're thinking of a community where there would be land, where we could grow things, where there is clean water, where we could have animals, our brothers and sisters with us, yes, and we can thrive together physically as well as emotionally and spiritually. We're open to that, are we? Yes, are we?
Absolutely, bring it on. Yeah, I'm a bit short of practical. I'm a bit short of practical skills because I barely have any earth in my chart. But I'm sure I can be of some use somewhere. But yes. I mean, that would be wonderful. It would be very heart-based and just a beautiful vision. Yes. And Aquarius is about community. It's about community of like-minded people. So I think there are going to be many communities being birthed of this kind.
Many hubs are coming up. So we just want to put the word out, really, is let's intermingle here somehow. Let's connect, let's inspire. If you've got a community that's already going, please share. If you're thinking of starting one, please share. You know that right now lockdowns are there, but I think there'll be opportunities for us to be able to travel a little. And certainly I'm flexible. I think Pam is reasonably flexible.
Absolutely.
We have to take a leap. We have to take some kind of a leap. Too many people are lonely on this planet. Too many people feeling alone. We have to feel united. There's this feeling of unity, and unity is the only way to go. There is going to be no way for us to make this shift without coming together. All of us, not allowing 2 or 3 Bs on direction, right? All of us, it's bringing us all together. We've got the eclipse coming up on the 21st of June in Cancer, at 0 Cancer. These are the 2 big times, aren't they? The 0 Cancer eclipse and the 0 Saturn and Jupiter at 0 degrees, because that's always a shift point. Would you agree, Pam?
Absolutely. And it's like the midpoint of what began in January, this deconstruction of the old, and we're going through the collapse and the rubble and the dust. And the end point is starting as we get into that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. It's starting to birth something new for another 200 years while those conjunctions happen in air signs. So we're at this midpoint where we're entering the birth canal, as it were, which is always a messy place to be. And
dark, pretty dark in there.
But we can't go back. We can't go back. We've started and we can't go back. And it's horrible because there are pains and spasms and ghastly, but we're heading towards the light.
Yes. Yes.
Heading towards the light and a whole new birth of something very different. But we are creating it. We're not coming, nobody's coming in. I think extraterrestrial beings are coming in to help, but they're not coming in to save us.
No.
We are our own saviors.
Yes.
And that's why.
Together. So
yeah.
It's an exciting time, as much as it's really difficult because we're being challenged. But when we're being challenged, we grow into something. We've got to be more creative. We have to come up with creative solutions. But together, each one in their own centeredness, yeah, being strong in yourself and at that high frequency, then coming together, then I think the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. I truly, truly, truly think that. And you can't pass the buck and say, oh, well, I'm feeling a bit weak and wobbly, so somebody else can do my bit. Because you self-select your timeline. Nobody can do it for you. And that's where the mastery comes in. And I think it gets easier. You know, we all have tough days and we see something or hear something, oh, ugh, don't like the look of that. But somehow we have to rise above it to, if we can keep at that high frequency, there's something in physics called downward causation, that a high frequency infects a lower and the lower doesn't infect the higher. And it's a little bit like chaos theory in physics, that if you have a gas or a liquid which has chaotic molecules, it only takes 1% of the molecules to become coherent, and the whole body of gas or liquid becomes coherent from that 1% because of this law, this physics law of downward causation. So our task is to be at that 1%, not elitism, but we are creating coherence to help everyone.
Wow.
It's good, isn't it? It's good. So I think we're way beyond the 1% already. And I mean, many spiritual teachers and mentors and channelers that you will have heard as well, Brackett, are saying the good guys have won. You know, the light has won in this, and this is just mopping up. This is just mopping up the mess in the kitchen or the maternity ward. So we have to hold that high. I just can't think of a better idea.
I think that's terrific, Pammy, and I've got to say, yeah, really inspiring. And yeah, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to interact with more of you. Yes, there's no accident that we've come together at this time. Things are not accidental. And how can we get onto that higher timeline? It's interesting you keep talking about timelines, because we've still got all these Capricorn energies, and Capricorn rules time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's this reevaluation of time, of old age, of aging, of all these different things. You know, I had a beautiful client today in her late 70s. She looked about 40.
Wow.
You know, it's like, wow. So, you know, there are certain things, and as we come together and create this safe feeling on our planet, then we can begin to relax. Because most of the time, I think many of us are feeling we're in survival mode. What's this person going to do? What's that going to do? What's this government going to do? You're kind of looking over your back all the time. So how can you live a long time if you're living out of that kind of stress?
Absolutely, because that depletes your immune system. Whereas if you live in a higher frequency, your telomeres become longer. You know, that's very, very much promotes long life. And I've been in many workshops in my life where we've done profound meditations, long, deep meditations. And you come out of a 4-hour meditation and various people in the group, their phone rings and there's a miracle. they've been offered a job for the first time in 5 years, or the tumor on their neck has disappeared, or they stand up from their wheelchair, or they put down their crutches. Miracles can happen in a very short time, because what we're doing when we get to that high frequency is we're rebooting the blueprint. We're rebooting the blueprint, and we're becoming more wave and less particle. So the possibilities in the quantum field become much more achievable. We can reach those because we become much more wave, if that makes sense.
Totally. The air waves, the Aquarius waves.
Yes, the Aquarius waves, and in physics, the whole quantum model of wave and particle. So it's extremely powerful to manifest, to create from that higher 5D level. It's hell of a hard job pushing it at the 3D level. You can take years and years and years of pushing, arranging, forcing, but if you go to that higher level through your meditation, it just manifests much more easily. And I could talk for days about things I've witnessed. And yeah, so we can do it, and they're regular human beings. They're not Zen monks. They're regular people like you
and us. Yes,
absolutely. I mean, you caught me on the hop tonight because I'm looking scruffy, and I wasn't expecting a recording. But anyway,
totally scruffy. A washed out t-shirt, sacred strain. You know, but this is great because people are getting us raw. You're getting us raw and honest, and you're seeing how we can change our frequencies by having a new intention, and by understanding that this is scientifically provable as well. It's not just, oh, you know, airy fairy new age stuff. It's not.
It isn't. It's very powerful. And when there's so much, as you say, bracket, anger and division and dreadful stuff in the world. Every morning as I'm waking up, before I open my eyes, I try not to be woken up by the alarm, but before I open my eyes, if I wake up naturally, I will say to myself over and over and over again, I live in peace and love and bliss. I live in peace and love and bliss. And I might say that 30, 40, 50 times until I open my eyes and get on with my day. But that kind of sets my tone for the day. And in general, that's my default position. And I think even if you're just calm and peaceful, that's still a positive place to be compared to where you could be. So I do that. It's honestly, truly, I do that every single morning. Keep my eyes shut, go around. I live in peace and love and bliss. Peace and love and bliss. And it does calm you down. And that's a good place to start your day, rather than leaping out of bed that, God, I've got 9,000 things to do on my to-do list today, which I have, and you have. Yes. We are incredibly busy people, but somehow we've got to have that mastery, because otherwise everything is just chaotic and adrift. We're living from the outside in rather than the inside out. We've got to start to live from the inside out. Otherwise it's all hopeless.
And all these retrogrades this year are giving us an opportunity to, in every way, live inside outwards, reflect, reassess, restructure, redefine, all those things.
Absolutely. And it's a rebirth, isn't it? It's a rebirth of who we are into some kind of new human who, and I believe the new human will have higher intelligence, abilities way beyond what we've ever had in our lifetimes. But yes, we've got to get there. It's not, nobody gives it to us.
No, but it's not as though people haven't done it before. Well, who is the Yogi Milarepa? Yes?
Yeah.
Through on the rock, who showed that, you know, there was no barrier there, and his handprint is still there.
Yeah.
So
and many of them.
There are many who've done it, but now what's happening with the age of Aquarius is we all have to make the leap. It's not just for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or a limited amount of special souls, enlightened souls.
Absolutely. We are all in this together. One mind, one heart. We are all in this together.
Woo! Well, thank you very, very much.
I wasn't expecting all that.
Our discussion. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
This was just a scruffy chat.
let us know about communities, anything, ideas that you've got that you want to share. Let's ripen the dream and let's bring a lot of this now to our reality.
Ba-boom! Bring it on.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was a great idea to record, Braca. Lovely.
Wait a minute.